Good afternoon, all, and welcome back. This will be our final presentation for the day. Please remember to stay tuned until the end for prizes and giveaways and closeout. Okay, next up we have Regina Batista. She's a Chief Transformation Coach for Transformation Experts, a strategic leader with experience, technology, and business transformations. Let me go slower. She's got a resume that is out of this world, guys. Okay. An enterprise agile coach, agile trainer, consultant with over 20 years of PMO, portfolio, program, project management, and IT consulting experience. She's also an SPC with proven expertise in building high performance agile IT and business teams, in addition to building agile PMOs. Here's my best part. All of her certifications include, you ready for the list? RTE, ICP, ACC, SPC, CSM, CSPO, PMP, KMP, one, and my favorite of all, Six Sigma Green Belt. Six Sigma Green Belt. Everyone, get your applauses out and your exclamation points. And a warm welcome to Regina Batista. Take it away.
Awesome. Can you hear me okay, Corey?
Sure can.
Awesome. Corey, thank you so much. I appreciate, I'm humbled by your presentation and introduction. Very excited to be here today with all of you to share some great information that I hope that you all find valuable. So I am going to share my screen. Give me just 1 second here. And bring up my PowerPoint. And can everybody see the PowerPoint presentation? Corey, can you give me a thumb? Can you let me know, please? Okay, so I'm going to assume that everybody can see the presentation.
We can see it. You're good.
Great. Awesome, awesome, awesome. So as Corey said, I am an enterprise agile coach, currently helping organizations in their agile transformation. I'm very excited to just share with all of you that I love my job. I love what I do. And I hope to provide some value that you can all walk away with in today's topic. Before I became an agile coach, though, I was leading project management offices at multiple organizations and working with project management teams. Now, in my current role as an enterprise agile coach, the biggest question we currently get asked is, what is the future of the project management offices as organizations transition to agile? I'm sure that's a question that either you have asked yourself or that somebody has asked you as well. I would like to rephrase that question for today's topic and say more, what does the future Agile PMO look like? So let's look at what that is going to look like today. So today we're going to talk about defining the portfolio for scaling Agile best practices. We're going to look at some of those topics. We're going to look at what does it look like to organize a portfolio around value. We're going to explain the need for lean portfolio management. So for those Six Sigma folks out there, we are bringing the word lean in front of portfolio management. Hope you can appreciate that. We're going to apply the lean agile mindset to portfolio management. And we're going to talk about the importance of an agile mindset. And last but not least, we're just going to briefly touch on some key lean budgeting practices. Okay, defining the portfolio for scaling agile best practices. So, what are some of the current portfolio management challenges that you face today? Think about it. Think about your role as PMO leaders. Think about your role as portfolio managers, program managers, project managers. What are some of the existing pain points that your organizations face today? Here are some of the known industry pain points. There's probably a lot more than this, but we're looking at clearly defining the business value of our deliverables. We know that that is not simple. Project cost accounting, we also know that is very complex in its processes. We all have experienced the annual planning process and the rigid budgeting cycles that we traditionally have executed. We also know that the overflow of demand versus limited capacity is a lot of the pain points that many of our organizations go through. Our traditional phase gate approval processes has also been a pain point in experiencing in some of the organization's long length milestones as well. And last but not least, some of our overly detailed business cases that at the beginning have speculated on ROI because of the cone of what we call the cone of our uncertainty. So there are many other pain points, but these are some of the best known in the industry. I hope you guys can appreciate that, and feel free to also add to your list. Okay, so when we're transforming an organization to Agile, there are multiple Agile scaling modules out there to consider at the enterprise level and at the portfolio level. We call these modules part of what we're now calling enterprise agility. So for the sake of this presentation, I wanted to share with you some of the more popular ones that are out there. SAFe, many of you have heard SAFe, Scaled Agile Framework, is one of the most widely used across the industry. We also have Scrum at Scale for the Scrum Alliance. There's also another scaling framework called LESS, Large Scale Scrum. Many of you have heard of Discipline Agile. As you know, the PMI recently partnered up with them. And then there's also a scaling framework called Nexus. This is open information that's out there. Please feel free to do your research, read up in the best practices recommended by many of these scaled Agile frameworks. I highly recommend it as an Agile coach. But for the purposes of today's presentation, I'm going to focus on some of the recommendations made by SAFe, the SAFe Scaled Agile Framework. Okay. All right. What is SAFe? SAFe calls themselves the leading framework for enterprise agility. Feel free to look that up too as well. The definition of SAFe, however, incorporates a lot of lean practices. SAFe for lean enterprises is a knowledge base of proven integrated principles, practices, and competencies for lean, agile, and DevOps. If you guys want to find out more about it, go to scaledagileparamework.com. Okay, so how does SAFe define a portfolio? What is a portfolio? Biggest question is, how do you define a portfolio, and how do your organizations define a portfolio? Some of the common answers include our portfolio is a collection of work, or our portfolio is a set of projects and investments, right? Portfolio management could be composed also as business processes, usually led by a portfolio manager or a specific team. Portfolio management tends to be a continuous set of interrelated processes that support decision-making and balancing related to the content of portfolio, and it may include aligning process groups and monitoring and controlling process groups. Those are the basics of portfolio defined by the industry. Every organization has an established structure to prioritize and govern investments. The SAFe portfolio, the main difference for the SAFe portfolio is that the SAFe portfolio management practices are based on lean agile principles and a lean mindset. That's the main difference. SAFe portfolio introduces the concept of supporting what we call development value streams, which contains one or more development value streams of each of which support developing solutions that an organization needs to accomplish its business mission. Okay. All right, depending on the size of your organization, if it's small enough, you can support a single portfolio, or larger organizations can support multiple portfolios. So how does SAFe describe a value stream? When an organization first looks at an agile transformation, we recommend doing what we call value stream mapping exercise. So what is that? We actually go into the organization and identify the products and services for that organization that provide the most value, okay? Where is an organization getting the most ROI? What products and services are giving that back? Then we look at the operational value stream of those products and services. As you can see in the slide, what does it take from concept to cash to deliver those products and services? We call that in SAFe the operational value stream. Our goal then is to identify the development value streams that is composed of the people and the systems that support and deliver the operational value stream. As you can see, there's like a two-step process there. A SAFe portfolio can contain one to many value streams. Once we identify the most valuable operational and development value streams, we can then have identified the products and services that will be highly impacted by the creation of and support of Agile teams. So this is a two-step process that we do. Many of the questions that we get asked is, where do we start Agile? Where do we start forming Agile teams? When we come into an organization to do an Agile transformation, this is a very common exercise that we do. Once we identify the development value streams that are supporting the operational value streams of products and services that provide the most value, then we're like, okay, this might be a great spot to start your Agile teams. Then the next step is, all right, now that we have great Agile teams, let's organize the portfolio around value. What does that look like? Okay, once the organizations have identified the value stream, right, we look at perhaps moving from projects to products and services, understanding what the value streams deliver and how to do value stream mapping, and focus on achieving business outcomes rather than completing tasks. What are the benefits of making such a significant change? Well, we're enabling now long-lived, stable teams. We're also enabling faster learning and shorter time to market. And we're contributing to higher quality and more productivity. Most importantly, supporting leaner budgeting mechanisms. These are some of the many benefits. What we want to do now is explain the need for lean portfolio management. The SAFe lean portfolio management carries out its responsibilities through 3 essential collaborations. As you can see, we have strategy and investment funding, Agile portfolio operations, and lean governance. Strategy and investment funding ensures the entire portfolio is aligned and funded to create and maintain the solutions needed to meet business targets. Agile portfolio operations coordinates and supports decentralized program execution and fosters operational excellence. Lean governance is the oversight and decision-making of spending, audit and compliance, forecasting expenses, and measurement. So I'm sure those things don't sound that foreign to many of you, right, who are part of a PMO today. Please know that in lean portfolio management function have the folks that deliver and execute on these responsibilities could have many different titles and roles and are often distributed throughout the organizational hierarchy. Now, from the SAFe perspective, as you can see, we now start seeing some new title roles. For example, in the quadrant in the bottom where it says Agile Portfolio Operations, you now see the role of a release train engineer, RTE. Many traditional program management roles can now very easily flow into the RTE role as per the SAFe role description. You also see the Scrum Master role, the SM role. Many project managers are very easily transitioning to the Scrum Master roles. We also see what we call communities of practice. Now, most importantly, here's the Agile PMO. As you can see, it is listed under the Agile Portfolio Operations. So when we ask, where is the future of our PMO? Where does the Agile PMO sit in? Here are some examples from the SAFe framework that they're providing. In addition, you now see something called LACE. What does LACE stand for? Lean Agile Center of Excellence. So many PMOs are transitioning to a Lean Agile Center of Excellence or an Agile PMO. The roles of the executive sponsor, business owners, enterprise architects continue to provide much value in the Lean portfolio management functions as well. So I love this picture. This actually shows a great structure. I hope you guys find this valuable. All right, we're back to our pain points, guys. It's important that we understand what some of the pain points that we have today and that we hone in on why do we need to make a change. Again, I always say, if there's no pain points, there's no need for change, then there's no need for a transformation. It's only when we have gaps that we need to find areas of improvements that we reach out and find new best practices. So here are some recommendations for transitioning. We're looking at initially, right, moving away from the siloed functional areas that distribute a model of shared resources across multiple initiatives and move more towards possible dedicated Agile teams to delivering and supporting the products and services that are contained in what we call the value stream that provide the organization's most value. I'm going to pause here for a second so you guys could take a look at this slide here. These are some of the recommendations. SAFe also recommends to move away from funding projects to funding the products and services within the value streams. I'm sure many of you have heard about that type of transition. This is not a simple thing to do. There's a lot of conversations, executive buy-in, a lot of buy-in from your financial organizations as well to make this transition happen. And I want to make a note for you guys to understand that when you start an Agile transformation, we don't start at this level. We start with launching teams first, training folks in Agile, launching Agile teams. And then once we have a level of maturity, then we start implementing Agile best practices up the enterprise. Let's move away from big upfront annual planning and budgeting and move more towards what we call rolling wave and planning budgets. For example, many organizations are moving into quarterly prioritization and planning events. This is helping adjust budgets throughout the year based on market demands and customer feedback. Let's move away from unlimited project intake processes that is difficult to realistically complete every year and move more towards the use of portfolio Kanban systems to manage the flow of intake approvals and execution and provide more visibility to all of the work in progress before bringing anything else in. I'm sure you guys can appreciate, how the big upfront intake processes can be actually made a little bit more leaner. Let's move away from our traditional waterfall phase gate milestones approach and focus more on our milestones be our early delivery of working software. That's where the real value is. Let's move away from overly detailed business cases when there is more uncertainty at the beginning and move towards more lean business cases that provide just enough detail to establish viability. And let's get an early defined minimum viable product that will provide early business value. All right, those were many of the recommendations for lean, agile best practices. Now we're going to look at, how do we apply the lean agile mindset to portfolio management? All right. When learning about Agile, everybody always asks the question, so what is Agile? As an Agile coach, we always say, Agile is not a process. It's not a methodology. Agile is a mindset. And as Agile coaches, we know that an Agile transformation can never be successful if we don't put the mindset and the culture first. So every time we look at an Agile transformation, we're actually in parallel doing a culture transformation. But when we're looking at lean portfolio management, we apply the same idea. Agile mindset is number one. Then we've got these supporting Agile teams, but we've got the word lean. How can we lean out our very complex processes that have been around for such a long time? And that together brings the lean portfolio management thought process. So for SAFE, the foundation of the Agile mindset is the Agile Manifesto. The Agile Manifesto, as you guys know, is the foundation for all of the Agile frameworks that are out there. The 4 values are individual and interactions over process and tools, working software over comprehensive documentation, customer collaboration over contract negotiation, and responding to change over following a plan. That is the foundation of all Agile implementations. But now SAFE includes another primary aspect that we call the SAFE House of Lean. The top of the house is value. Everything that we do is to provide value. The foundation is the presence of leadership. Leadership being there and being a part of the transformation. The pillars are number 1, respect for people and culture. Number 2, the flow of processes, the flow of cadence. Let's make it leaner. We have a focus in innovation. That is very, very important. Let's create teams that can innovate, that are motivated. And the relentless improvement mindset is the most important thing. So these are the 2 primary aspects of a lean Agile mindset in the Scaled Agile framework. In addition, just like the Agile Manifesto has its 4 values and 12 principles, SAFE also has some lean Agile principles. There are 10, but the ones that are the most important in the lean portfolio management are number 1, let's take an economic view. Number 5, base milestones on objective evaluation of working software. Number 6, visualize and limit work in progress, reduce batch sizes, and manage queue lengths. Number 9, decentralized decision making. So let's take a look at a couple of these. Principle number 1, take an economic view. So we want to base decisions on economics to achieve better business outcomes. We want to deliver early and often, operate within lean budgets and guardrails, understand economic trade-offs for solutions. We want to leverage suppliers. We want to sequence jobs as epics for maximum benefit. And we want to empower local decision-making. Principle number 2, base milestones on objective evaluation of working software. Build a system in increments, each of which is an integration point that demonstrates some evidence of feasibility of the solution in progress. Guys, the earlier we get feedback, the more often we get feedback, the more we learn to deliver a better solution. And have the milestones be your working software, not the phase gates approach, as we said before. Principle number 6, visualize and limit work in progress. Lean enterprise strive to achieve a continuous flow of value with 3 main factors. Visualize and limit the amount of work in the process to match demand to actual capacity. We always have so much more demand, and as you know, our capacity is always less. Reduce the batch sizes of work to facilitate a fast and reliable flow through the system, and manage queue lengths to reduce the wait times for new capabilities. Reduce batch sizes of work for higher predictability. Focus on the flow of value, not resource utilization. Foster decentralized decision-making. Centralized strategy decisions should stay around the most infrequent decisions that have the more long-lasting effect and that have significant economies of scale. Those should stay decentralized. Everything else should be decentralized to the people that are actually doing the work. Provide clarity on organizational objectives and provide opportunities to exercise and cultivate decision-making abilities. Decentralization also opens discussion how to move authority for the decisions closer to the people and establish a decision-making framework that equips knowledge workers with the information to make good decisions. And in addition, continue to apply lean budgeting guardrails. All right, last but not least, we're just gonna have a quick discussion on lean budgeting practices. As you can see, we continue talking about moving beyond project cost accounting and moving towards funding value streams of products and services. And now we're going to introduce something called investments by horizon and a new concept called applying participatory budgeting. These are concepts applied by SAFE. But the benefits of lean budgeting, lower overhead and higher throughput, create alignment and transparency, foster decentralized decision-making, improve morale, teamwork mindset, and better business outcomes. So first, at the enterprise level, determine how much budget is going to be allocated to the organizational portfolios. That happens at the top, at the strategic level. Once your portfolios are budgeted and identified, each portfolio can now allocate its budget to the identified value streams of products and services. That's a bit of the flow that we're showing here. The biggest questions that we get asked is, okay, now that we have a budget, what's the best approach to investing our funds? So let's take a look at the McKinsey Horizon model. It's a classic framework to align innovation efforts with potential future challenges. The three horizons provide an incredibly useful taxonomy. The model describes innovation occurring over 3 time horizons. Horizon number 1, ideas provide continuous innovation to a company's existing business model and core capabilities in the short term. Horizon number 2, ideas extend the company's existing business modules and core capabilities to new customers and perhaps new markets. Horizon number 3 is the creation of new capabilities that organizations don't currently have and new businesses to take advantage of or respond to distributed opportunities or to counter disruption. So McKinsey suggests that to remain competitive in the long run, a company must allocate its research and development dollars and budget and resources across all these 3 horizons. All right, so when do we get together to talk about all of these? What's some of the cadences that SAFE recommends, right? So there's something called the portfolio sync-up. The portfolio sync-up provides visibility into how well the portfolio is progressing towards meeting its objectives. This meeting that is actually on a cadence has an operational focus more than a strategic focus. Topics typically include reviewing EPIC implementation, the status of KPIs, addressing dependencies, and removing impediments. The portfolio sync-up typically is held monthly and may be replaced on a given month with what we call a strategic portfolio review. In addition to that, portfolio sync-up recommended monthly cadence, SAFE also recommends what they call a participatory budgeting session. In lean portfolio management, this event in which a group of stakeholders decide how to invest the portfolio budget across the solutions and the epics, the resulting data is used to finalize any adjustments needed to the value stream budgets. Remember, A portfolio can be funding multiple value streams of products and services. So at any point in time, the budget of that portfolio may be reallocated or distributed, right? So these budgets are typically adjusted twice a year using this type of meeting that SAFE calls participatory budgeting. All right, so it's all about the mindset, guys. Lean portfolio management, number one thing is an agile mindset, creating agile teams that provide value. But now, how can we lean out our processes and make it better to, most importantly, provide value to our customers? So I hope that you find this presentation helpful and valuable. And Corey, I am open for questions.
Does anyone have any questions for Regina? Please go ahead and type them in the chat at this time, and I will communicate them to her.
Do I stop sharing, Corey?
You're fine. You can if you want. You can stop the share and it'll just be your face. That's fine.
Okay.
No questions? We'll give it about 30 seconds more. You're welcome, Linda. People are thanking you for the presentation.
Thank you. I hope you guys found it valuable. All of this information is out there. You guys can look it up. I would go to scaledagileFramework.com. There's a lot of white papers of many organizations that have implemented this and examples.
Here's a question from Lisa Torres. Any thoughts on integrating Agile into an organization that has never used this methodology before?
So the answer is yes, right? But the question is, at what level do we want to implement Agile? This particular topic was at the enterprise level, but we always look at the organization from like the teams level, perhaps the more intermediary, what we call the program level, and then the portfolio, which is the enterprise. So you can start at any of those levels introducing Agile best practices. Many companies start at the team level before they ever do anything at the enterprise level. I hope that answers your questions.
Thanks. And then we have another question. What is a typical timeline associated with this transformation?
That's a great question. I see William. William, how are you? Great to see your picture. So William, it depends. It depends on the organization. There is no cookie cutter formula for an Agile transformation. It depends on the investment. It depends on the maturity level, and it depends on their intake of it. When you have, I do want to say, at least in my experience, when you do have the investment and the buy-in, and you do have a team of a lean Agile center of excellence of Agile coaches in there, working at the multiple team program and what we call the portfolio level to really get good traction and see good results, it's anywhere from a year to 2 years. In your second year is where you start seeing a lot of that value. But again, I just said 3 very different factors there, right? Investment, executive buy-in, a team of Agile coaches that are at the team program and enterprise level with an enterprise Agile coach delivering that. I hope that answers. That's been my personal experience, but I've had the luck and the privilege to have been able to participate in a successful transformation in that way. The rest of the organizations are doing bits and pieces depending on where they're at in their availability and and in their maturity level. All right. Any other questions, Corey? Wow, I see a question here.
I was wondering. Yes, there you go. Now you can see the chat. Okay, go ahead.
Okay, what is the key selling point to convince management to switch to Agile? That question came from Abid Sattar. So Abid, it's all about the pain points. It's all about the pain points. If executives don't realize that there's pain points, either the way that they're delivering their product or the feedback that they're getting from their customers, or that they're not getting the ROI that they want, that's the only time in my experience that they are truly opening the doors to doing something different. It's all about their pain points. And so perhaps talking to your management about pain points could be a good start of that conversation of like, hey, maybe as an organizational leader yourself, hey, we're having all these pain points. What can we do differently? Oh, now let's take a look at some options that are out there in the industry. Corey, any other questions?
I was given it a few minutes. Okay, there is another question. As a small step, can an organization create value stream project plans to get the mindset started that will eventually feed up to the portfolio when that level is established?
Ooh, so I need a better definition of what they mean by value stream project plans.
Maisha Thompson, can you please, in the chat, help Regina understand what you actually mean by value stream project plans?
I could provide an answer, because, and I'm not sure, is project plans for the various business. Okay, so I'm not sure if that will answer her question, but I'm not sure if this will answer your question, but I can tell you of a step that we've done in between. So most organizations have project cost accounting, right? They are budgeting projects, and they are allocating teams to projects. That happens today. So moving to products and services, which are what's inside a value stream, is not always a first step. That's a more mature conversation. So what some transformations have done is that they have created agile teams across projects that represent a part of the organization that is delivering certain products and services that have something in common. I hope that answers your question, but that is another way. So where do we start agile teams? Well, there might be a part of the organization that has multiple projects that either come from the same area, support the same applications, right? But they're still project-based. They're still project-based. They're still in an annual cycle. We have not transformed that part yet, but we're looking ahead and we're seeing the commonality, and we may start agile teams around that. I hope that answers that question.
It looks like there are no more questions at this time. Mike said thank you. So thank you very much, Regina. And
I saw that not asked about marketing. Was she asking about marketing?
She was making when you asked about the plan, she was giving you some ideas of what she was thinking about, and marketing PowerPoint was something that she just typed in.
Okay.
But she said thank you after, so I think you answered it.
You're welcome.
All right. So at this time, we can all go back and do some networking, and then I will actually bring Ed onto the stage, and he will let us know what our next step is to close out. Thanks, everyone.
All right. Thank you, Corey. Thank you for your support.
Sure.